We all have that friend who wakes up early to go get everyone McDonald's breakfast, while the rest of us sleep in. This is your sign to thank them. And if you're that friend, this is us saying thank you.
Just a friendly reminder that right now, get any size iced coffee before 11 a.m. for just 99 cents. And a satisfying sausage McMuffin with egg is just $2.79. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We get our weekly groceries delivered through Instacart because once football season starts, game time is family time. I can get everything my family needs for the week, from reliable staples to specialty ingredients, all delivered right to my door in as fast as 1 hour. So I can stay on my game without missing a minute of the game. Visit Instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Erik.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Hi, everybody.
Man, it feels 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, full-length episodes. We're firing on all cylinders. We're powering through the holidays and into, I guess, what like a holiday in and of itself in the toy community, right? Like list season.
Mm-hmm.
We did our if you didn't hear our 2024 most wanted wish list episode, pause this, go back, listen to that. Gives you kind of an idea of what we're looking forward to in 2024. Or while you're listening to this, take a look at our Instagram, because we posted in full detail 10 different most wanted lists across some of the lines that we collect most fervently. And Dave, if they wanted to take a look at those lists on our Instagram, how would they go about doing that?
They would go to @AIC_podcast on the Instas. You can also go to youtube.com/AIC_podcast and see all of our fun posts and top 10 want lists and ultimately these top 10 lists. And make sure to like and share your own. Subscribe at the YouTube, hit the bell, so that way you could see me. You could see my hands open cards, or see me talk about a Gamera, and see Erik talk about a CM Punk and other things.
Yeah, and also our monthly giveaway, which if you're listening to this episode as it is brand new, our monthly giveaway this month is a pair of CM Punk collectibles. So a PVC gallery diorama statue from Diamond Select Toys, and the Walmart exclusive Jazzwares AEW Supreme CM Punk. So if you head over to our Instagram, you'll see that too. Yeah, we're always having a good time over there. Always trying to do fun stuff like what we're doing today, our top 10 list. So in a second, we'll each give kind of our ground rules for our lists. We both kind of have some different rules in place as we build our top 10s throughout the year. And then we each have kind of I guess you could say, a pair of honorable mentions to go with our top 10 lists as well. Dave, do you want to do the honors with your rules first? Do you want to set the stage for your list?
Yeah, so nothing on here looks like it's anything that was given to me, but if it was something that was given to me, in order to make the top 10 list, I would have had to have wanted to purchase it on my own. I know Dan Larson has changed his rules this year, but I refer to them as the Dan Larson rules. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Had to have been made within this year, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So my rules, basically this year, I went with individual figures. So in the past, I've done, releases. So like, if you've listened to previous versions of our top 10 from previous years, you've heard me talk at length about things like the Razor Crest and you've heard Dave mention, the New Gen Arena. I think I actually even had that on my list as well. But this year I'm not doing that. So play sets, I'm doing specific individual figures, and I am also only allowing myself to take a single figure from a line for my list. So like you won't find 2 Marvel Legends figures on here. You won't find 2 WWE figures. I wanted to get kind of a nice variety for this top 10 of things that I've really enjoyed. And, as soon as we get into things like Star Wars: The Vintage Collection or Marvel Legends or WWE, it can end up making up like, a third of my list, if not more, of just those figures. So I have forced myself to pick individual only one figure from a given line for my list, and that's where I'm at my top 10. And unlike in years past, this is a proper top 10 for me. My number 10 is a number 10. My number 1 is a number 1. There's no like ties or anything. I actually forced myself to rank these in order of kind of enjoyment and joy and whatnot. So I think with that we should probably start with our honorable mentions before we hit our start at 10 and work our way up to 1. Since I'm already talking, I'll just cover my my honorable mention first. So we're each going to do 2 honorable mentions. Mine is combined into 1 because technically it is 2 separate releases. Honestly, you could take any figure from this honorable mention section and make it just a single release because it's kind of they're all the same with just being slightly different sculpts in the face and some different accessories. But 4 figures that I thought for certain I was going to be able to skip because I hate the source content that they're like, truly hate the source content that they're from. I don't find it redeemable or enjoyable in any way. I recently tried to watch it with my children, and they both asked me to turn it off. It was so bad. It was actually somehow worse than I remembered it. But these figures are just absolutely stunning and amazing. And were it not for 2 other releases from this company, they would have miraculously ended up on my top 10 list. But the live action Jim Henson Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Part 3, the Samurai Turtles in Time, fantastic figures. 2 packs available at Walmart. I saw them in person and literally groaned out loud because I knew I had to get them just because they look so cool. And my Oops All Donnie's collection gets another Donatello, and they're really cool. Absolutely gorgeous work, down to Nicole Fox work on the soft goods, the way that the soft goods fit, the wired bottom, the fact that Leo's has some extra holes cut in the back so you could slide the scabbards through. It's just they're fantastic. I feel bad for you if you are forced to see them in person as a Turtles fan, because if you see them, I think you're going to have a really hard time not buying them. Yeah, so that's my honorable mention.
So I have 2 separate ones that I would like to mention. First is my first ever NECA purchase, which was the Ultimate Misfits Fiend. I just think it's a really cool figure. It was a way for me to kind of get a NECA figure, but get a one-off figure, if that makes sense. Like, yes, there have been multiple Fiends, like, there's different cloaks and things like that over history, or at least have been portrayed as such. But, this is it hit my little punk rock soul, and I thought it was cool. And my second one is something that was on the list, but I'm going to kind of tweak it a little bit. It was on the first half of the year list. And that is the Super 7 Disney Parks exclusive Tron figures, the reaction figures. However, I'm going to put a focus on the Light Cycle and figure kind of 2-pack. I was recently able to finally pick those up on a recent trip, and they are from last year, so we're from 2023. I was there in 2023, found them. It's not something you see very often. Usually, your Super 7 vehicles are something a bit larger. So it was really cool to see a Super 7 vehicle that is kind of smaller and, I'll say more multiply displayable, if that makes sense.
They're definitely more display friendly. That's for sure.
And it's just really cool. It's a really cool way of saying, like, how can we make this cool light cycle that's a bright color and matches the movie, but still make it something that we could put a reaction figure. And that's the answer.
Fair. Do you want to roll right into your 10 from there? Do you want to kick off the official list here?
I can kick off the official list, sure. Number 10. This one is one that appeared on my first half too. Took a little bit of a dip in number, but I still thought it was good enough to put on here. And this is like the first of a many multiple appearance thing. There's a couple lines that I do multiples of. And this is the Zombie Sailor Toys Wrestling's Heels and Faces Danhausen. And it's, I think, one of the best Heels and Faces figures. Was the best until a certain point, which we'll get to later. Maybe. But I think it's really cool, especially if you got the pre-order with the teeth and the extra hands. Well, the extra hands are in there, but the teeth and the human money and all that good stuff.
What a year for Danhausen.
What a year.
2023. For somebody that was injured for the majority
most of 2023.
He still had an incredible year. Good for Danhausen. One could say it was a very nice, very evil year, actually. Okay, so before I head into my number 10, something else that I just wanted to note, because you mentioned it, in terms of this list compared to my list from the first half of 2023, it is entirely different. There isn't a single figure that was on my first half list that made it to the end of year list. It's just the back half of the year was really, really packed with some heavy hitters. And the one figure that I thought was going to be kind of insurmountable, not only was surmountable, but again, because of the rules that I set up for myself, no longer appears on the list. So with that, number 10, one of the kind of hottest underdog sort of, low key, toy lines of the year, a toy line that made it all the way to the finals in our 2023 Archie Award tournament. Jada Toys Street Fighter Ryu. What a figure. For a company that has only been making action figures, granted they've been making toys for a very long time, right, with their die-cast cars and everything, but for a company that has only been making action figures for about 2 years, roughly, these Street Fighter figures are unbelievable. Ryu is my favorite of the three. They recently revealed at LA Comic-Con the kind of entire lineup, and it's, everyone you'd hoped it would be for the most part. All the core characters are there, but the Ryu is great. Has one of the coolest accessories ever that comes with a little stand, the little Hadouken accessory, and the fact that like the matched up hands are kind of buried inside that like orb. It's just it's phenomenal. Multiple head sculpts, great deco, great articulation, great feel to it, great price point. Really excited to see what Jada continues to do with not only the Capcom license, because there are some really big brands in there that I would love to see them kind of sink their teeth into, like maybe a Resident Evil. But excited to see what they do past that too. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Number 9. We are going to Jazzwares for this one. And I think it is the best AEW Supreme figure that they've made thus far. It's another kind of late in the year one, but it came on like a storm, just in time for the reemergence of CM Punk, and I'm of course talking about the AEW Supreme CM Punk. The multiple gear options with the extra set of legs. You got all the hoodies and t-shirts and head options. I think it probably is the best likeness of Punk in all the figures thus far. And yeah, it's just, a great figure that kind of had some initially kind of poor but ultimately great timing.
Yeah. Shouts to Magic and the
and that was a Walmart exclusive, by the way.
Yeah, which you can win right now on our Instagram. You can enter to win. Shouts to Magic and Dan, who design over there. It's just so good. And the Supreme, from the first half of the year, I initially had Kenny, the Walmart Kenny on my list, which I think is also fantastic. So the fact that, they were able to get both of those out this year, it's a testament to, what they're doing over there. The Lucha Brothers, the Lucha Brothers figures were also very good.
It didn't hurt that it was my one of my favorite wrestlers of all time too.
So moving into number 9 for me, we are headed into the world of indie toys with a pretty recent guest of the pod, Spiro, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Lexion. So these figures, I was drawn to them back when the Kickstarter launched. I guess it was well over a year ago now. But the Kickstarter delivered these figures in 2023. I initially got just a couple of them just because, again, the designs really spoke to me. And once I got them in hand, they just felt so good. Again, like a company that, they've produced some 3 3/4 inch figures in the past, but this was their first endeavor into 112. And you would think that Jason and, the folks at Spiro have been making figures for decades. That's how good these things are. And I particularly like Lexion, just the colorway, the orange, gray, brown, the whole story that they have enveloped around these toys too, the comic books. It's just a fantastic little world they're creating, much like the same kind of spirit energy as Plunderlings. Just a different design, but again, just really, really cool figure. And I gotta give some love to those people out there that are trying to tell new stories and create their own pathways to success. So that's my number 9, Spiro, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Lexion.
So number 8 is my only one on here that's I'm putting 2 figures together. That's not a 2-pack, but were purchased like the same day at the same experience. And that is the SH Figure Arts Tamashii Nation's 15th anniversary World Tour exclusive of Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales from, of course, the animated film. And, I think I said all I needed to say, or all I could say in the first half of the year version. But, I mean, so I think this was my first actual experience with my own kind of current Figure Arts Tamashii Nations figures, and to kind of open them myself and really kind of play around with them and change out heads and hands and display and kind of take a look at them and appreciate them. It's one thing to appreciate them kind of from afar, but it was another thing to kind of appreciate them in hand. And you kind of understand what everyone tells you about them once you own a figure for yourself. Just two phenomenal figures. It looks like they kind of walked right out of the movie.
And that is a wonderful segue, Dave, into my number 8, because my number 8 is also something from our friends at Bondi and Tamashii Nations. This was a figure that I was really, really looking forward to, and it absolutely, I think, over-delivered in that category. It's something that, I'm not sure the Marvel Legends team are ever going to get to. So I'm really, really, really excited that they tackled this in SH Figure Arts form. This was a very tough call for me, though, because this figure was, for a while, I flip-flop back and forth between this and another release from SH Figure Arts, but I ended up going with the Carnage from Let There Be Carnage. As everybody knows, I talk about it ad nauseum. I love the MCU. I love the figure creations from the MCU world. It's some of my favorite stuff out there, and this Carnage figure absolutely just crushes it. It's my favorite Carnage figure that's ever been released. I don't know if we'll ever see him again in the MCU in any kind of form, considering the way storytelling goes. But yeah, that's my number 8 is Bondi Tamashii Nations SH Figure Arts. Let There Be Carnage.
Number 7, another one that was pretty high up on the list in the first half. As always with your Jazzwares AEW figures, you get not only a specific, character or person in AEW lore, but you also get moments. And I think this was a phenomenal moment in AEW, and it was the Blood and Guts CM Punk versus MJF dog collar match, Ringside Collectibles exclusive. Just kind of spot on. This to me is like the best non-ultimate CM or non-supreme CM Punk. But also you got the old school Ring of Honor style trunks, the long shorts, MJF. Everybody's bloody. You get to recreate all like the fun moments from the match. It's probably the best Blood and Guts release thus far.
My favorite thing about that set is how sweaty CM Punk looks. Like,
yeah.
You just look at the figure, and I mean, granted, he's covered in blood, but like he also just looks like that like combination of like bloody, sweaty, greasy. Like they did a really good job of the deco on those figures. And the sculpt,
I agree.
Too, like the hair, the way the hair is in his face and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, really good job. Is that really your favorite Blood and Guts? I guess there haven't been that many, right?
There's been a few.
It's only 2-packs. No, Kenny.
Kenny and Mox.
And there's
which probably was my favorite.
And there's the Darby, Brody.
The Darby,
King
which probably will become.
Yeah, the fact that Darby has the bloody handprint on his shoulder.
Yeah,
it's kind of awesome.
That Brody is just like that one Brody head is sick.
Yeah.
And I'm very much.
I'm looking forward to all of the Brody King figures, especially now that we've seen him in person. Yeah. Like seeing how large he is. Yeah, I'm very much so looking forward to that. All right, my number 7. My number 7 takes us to our G.I. Joe classified entry for the year for me. Really heavy on the back end of the year from G.I. Joe classified. It was kind of quiet, for most of the first half of the year, and then all of a sudden, Q3 and Q4, boy, did they start showing up. And this is a figure that I played with heavily as a kid. Was one of kind of my go-to figures, even though he really is kind of like a mission specialist, but I kind of had him doing everything. He does have a terribly unfortunate name, but I do love this figure. I love what Classified did with it. What are we on, number 7? I said, my number 7 pick is G.I. Joe Classified Snow Job. Unbelievable figure, absolutely unbelievable release. It just has everything you could ever want from it. He's got the snowshoes, he's got the long distance skis, he's got ski poles, he's got 2 different weapons. He can holster and carry everything all at once. He's got 2 different heads. He's got goggles. He's got a hood down. He's got a hood up. Great articulation. Looks amazing with the Arctic bats that came out. Unfortunately, I missed out on the snow serpents. That was another. I loved pairing the 2 of them up as a kid, so I'm hoping I get another crack at snow serpents at some point. But yeah, so that's my number 7, Snow Job.
Hey, Eric, if you weren't sure, I do love some pro wrestling, and I do love some independent wrestling, and someone who really, short of like t-shirts, never really had a lot of merch until I would say this past year, and one of my favorite kind of characteristics of wrestling figures is when it looks like the person has been shrunken down into, in this case, a Hasbro-sized figure.
Okay.
And talking about, of course, Zombie Sailor Toys, Wrestling's Heels and Faces, the King, the Man, the god of this, you know what, Nick effing Gage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one could argue that a friend of the pod, Matt Cardona, would argue that he is the true king of this.
Yeah.
Well, he would argue.
Yeah. Well, he is the deathmatch king, but I mean, if it's probably one of the best likenesses that, and I've said this before for other, like, I've said this for Danhausen, I said this for Jeff Jarrett, even for Matt and Brian, this is the best likeness that's ever been that Zombie's done for these figures. But this is, to me, like, I think just high marks, the best one so far.
I mean, he doesn't miss. He doesn't miss.
No, it's just, topping himself after topping himself. I mean, if there's any wrestler, too, that deserves, like, a kind of elite scale figure, is Nick Gage. So, but it's, fingers crossed on that one. If we did indie top 10 once, that would have been on one of mine. But just what a great figure. From the gear to, there's like GCW branding on it. It's just fantastic. What a great figure. I can't say enough about it, including the light tube accessories.
So from the Deathmatch King, now we talked about this a little bit, and we have not seen each other's lists on purpose. And I gave Dave a week ago, I gave him 3 guesses as to what WWE figure was on my list for this year. And he did not get it. Did you want to take one additional guess? You want me to remind you who you guessed? Or do you remember?
I don't remember, but
you guessed Ultimate Edition Seth Rollins.
Okay.
You guessed Ultimate Edition 1990 Undertaker.
Okay.
And you guessed Ultimate Edition Jimmy Uso. Those were your 3 guesses.
Is this going to be the gobbledygooker?
It is not. No, it is not going to be the gobbledygooker.
That's a great figure.
It is, but it's not that.
That was my other guess.
Oh, that was your guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you should have guessed the best there the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. My number 6 pick is Mattel Ultimate Edition Legends. Bret Hart, clad all in pink, got the pink coat, the best likeness we've seen of the Hitman so far. I love this figure. It takes me right back to new gen era Bret Hart, like ultra babyface Bret Hart. It's my favorite version of him. It's the version I think of when I think of him. Obviously slots right into my new gen collection perfectly. And again, like, it was another crazy year for wrestling figures. Like, it could have very easily been Seth Rollins. It could have been the 105 or 106 Elite of Dominic Mysterio. It could have been Jay or Jimmy Uso. It could have been Razor Ramon. It could have been there were so many good.
That Racer Ultimate's pretty good too.
Yeah, there could have been it could have been so many different figures, but that Bret Hart figure, I just keep going back to it. Like, it's the one. Like I said, I built this list around the figures that kind of brought me the most joy. And sometimes when I'm just kind of tooling around at my desk, when I'm working, I just like to have like a figure that as I'm on conference calls or whatever, I just kind of sit and play with. And I keep pulling that Bret Hart figure out, and I keep just having him either pose or put random figures in the sharpshooter. So yeah, that's my pick.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at their brand new home at 101 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Suite 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
Face it, shaker bottles suck. Your shakes always come out clumpy and they're a pain to clean.
You're right, Dave. That's why I decided to ditch my shaker bottle for good and get myself a BlendJet 2 portable blender. It makes perfectly blended shakes in just 20 seconds.
BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease.
BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. It lasts for over 15 blends and recharges quickly via USB-C.
Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go.
With an array of colors, patterns, or even Disney-inspired designs to choose from, show off your personality while you're blending up something delicious on the go.
What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today.
And be sure to use the promo code AICPOD12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code AICPOD12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today to get the best deal ever.
And now back to the show.
Yeah, if I were gonna do a wrestling top 10, I would say Gobbledygooker and Razor would have made mine for sure.
And that was Target exclusive too. I didn't specify. That's the Target exclusive one.
Number 5. This replaced a different version of this figure in the top 10, which was like pretty high up there in the first half of the year. But there were some things that came up in the second half of the year that were just kind of pretty off the charts amazing that surpassed it. And including this figure / playset. And it is the McFarlane DC Multiverse McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, the Dark Knight Interrogation Joker. Now, the original Joker was unreal likeness, unreal just figure, right? But how do you make like the filthiest looking character in probably comic book movie history look even like kind of grimier? And they managed to nail it. And you can recreate your favorite "where are they" moments, and all that good stuff.
Which I did. I took that picture. It was very fun to take.
At AIC_podcast on Instagram. And yeah, it's just, you when I look at that, I think of the shot of him clapping his hands together at the and it's just it's so good. And it's another one of those instances of this is that thing shrunken down to small statue size.
My favorite piece, my favorite part of that set, because I also too, obviously have it, is the smudge on his forehead where his head gets bashed into the table.
Yeah.
Where you get the, never start with the head line. Like they actually smudged the paint on his head there. And it's just so good. Such a good, that is to me is the.
Doesn't he have the filthy fingers too?
Yep, he's got the dirty hands.
Yeah.
That is a proper store exclusive release. Like that's the way to do it. Hopefully we get more of that from McFarlane. All right, my number 5. From a character that's really, really dirty to a little character that has a very, very dirty mouth that we never actually get to or dirty vocabulary, but we never get to hear what he's actually saying. But we know he's got a potty mouth based on the characters around him. My Star Wars The Vintage Collection entry for this list is our number 5. It is the Vintage Collection Ahsoka or Star Wars Rebels, take your pick, Chopper. So the little droid with a potty mouth. He's rickety. He's a feat of 3 3/4 inch engineering, if you ask me. It's perfect. In a year where we got some really, really awesome Vintage Collection figures, this is the one that's kind of, I just keep looking at him and smiling. If you don't have the Vintage Collection Chopper, unlike any other droid in this scale before him, he has an additional joint in his kind of like top bucket spinny thing where you can make him look all disheveled and like out of kilter, which is just amazing because he kind of has this appearance to him with the little like doohickey hands on his head and that kind of like tilt to his body that he kind of looks like he's unstable. And yeah, they just really captured that awesome. And paired with the Hera figure, it's great. He comes with the little tracking device that she can hold from Ahsoka. So yeah, I'm so excited for next year's HasLab to deliver. Like I'm really, really excited to get that Ghost ship. And now I have Chopper to go in it. So yeah, really, really, really excited. That's my number 5.
Number 4 for me. What a year it was for wrestling figures, and I feel like we say this every year,
Was
right?
it, Dave?
But,
Was it a good year for wrestling figures?
but I'll say more so. What a year for independent wrestling figures. Your non, Mattels and Jazzwares. Because there was a company that was much maligned from out of the gate. Could have had something really disastrous happen at launch, but kind of made you wait a little bit longer, and boy, was it worth the wait. I am, of course, talking about Power Town and the Power Town Ultras line. And there was one figure for... I would say it was probably the one that of the ones that I bought, the one that I wanted the most, only because I never got the elite of this person, which is one that's kind of gone up in price a little bit. It's not insurmountable like somebody else in this set, or it's not like a huge purchase, but it's still one that's gone up a bit. And any of those figures were just knocked out of the park. But I think this was the best of the 3 that I bought. Best likeness, best all around, and you can see the unboxing on our YouTube, and that is for Magnum TA. With the old NWA title and all of that good stuff. It's just a phenomenal figure, and after kind of everything that was going on in the run up to the figures getting released, it's really cool to see like another real player in the game kind of come up and say like no and drop the mic. And Power Town kind of did it with this first Ultras series.
And to your point, they are now a third player in this scale game. I mean, they're going to be making figures for
Impact,
for TNA, for Impact. So
for TNA, yeah, that's right.
So I can't remember the last time. It's been a long time since there were 3 like major wrestling figure companies having figures at the same time like this. Probably going back to like Jack's Toy Biz
and
original
Toy Makers.
and Toy Makers. It's been a long time. So really, really excited. Of course, they do have their Matt and Brian figures coming. Those pre-orders have closed, so those should be coming sometime this year. And
that special edition Carrie Von Erich is out.
Yep.
The Diamond Edition, I believe they called it.
Yep. So, which
smart. They announced Series 2.
Yep, they announced Series 2, and then they have their for those that are not aware, the people that run Power Town were originally the people who did the Remco figures back in the day, the AWA Remco figures, excuse me. So they're putting out more Remco style figures too that now will go with your Mattel Superstars. So and they announced
and your Remcos
and your original Remcos. But
and those ringside Matt and Brian's or Major Pod ones.
That's right. Bell to Bell is the company that makes those, and they have more coming too. Bell to Bell. So, all right. So number 4, this one is it goes to show you that this figure is number 4. Because I have to say, I love this figure so much. Part of a set. You could have picked any one of these 4 figures, but designed by Paul Harding, who does amazing work, freelance designer, released through NECA, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage Turtles 4-pack. I've of course went with Donatello, but they're so good. The whole kind of delivery of these figures, I ended up going in my mind's eye. I have what I consider to be kind of like a complete set, because it's like really issue 1 of the comic book. the original, Eastman and Laird comic books. I have the 4 Turtles, I have Shredder, and it's rooftop finale Shredder. I've got 2 Foot Soldiers, and I got Casey Jones. Done. But these turtles are just so good. They move incredibly. I love the paint. I love the deco. I love the proportions of them. I love the accessories. And again, the delivery method, that 4-pack, getting them all at once, not having to worry about chasing them down or anything. Yeah, just so good. Arguably I would honestly say, if not the best, one of the best Ninja Turtles figures that has ever been made, period. So that's my number 4 pick.
So my number 3 was the first half number 1. So there's a new champion. But it is at this time, because there are ones coming this coming year that I think are going to be the new best. But at this time, in my opinion, the best WWE Ultimate figure from Mattel, and that is Seth Rollins. Between the kind of long flowing entrance robe coat that he has, just the deco on it, it's the best Seth likeness that they've done. Probably one of the best likenesses that they've done ever. Just a fantastic figure. I still have him actually right in front of me. Any of the faces, whether it's that like kind of menacing cackle or just the grin, or even just kind of straight, kind of stern-faced Seth. Like, it's actually like terrifyingly accurate.
Yeah. And for those that can't, obviously we don't have video here, but Dave still has, has his mint. I have mine out of the package, and I got to tell you, Dave, that once you get him out of the package and you start to look at him like on profile and stuff, it gets even more uncanny, like how good this figure is.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
the faux fur, like
it was my. We're thinking about putting out kind of categorical top 10s, maybe in a week or so, or throughout this week after this airs. Seth is my number 2. It's right behind Bret Hart, and very easily could have been that that WWE pick for me. It's just
like it is one of figure. It's a 100%, like, as we're seeing number 3 for me. Like, it is a figure of the year candidate for sure, and was running very strong for most of the year for me.
So my number 3, that takes us to my number 3. Talk about a figure that came in late, like very late, with mere a week or 2 to spare. Late. One of 4 Horsemen Studios, with their Figura Obscura line, has been playing to my weaknesses as a literary nerd, and continues to make characters from books that have I have very strong connections to. So, like, obviously when they put out the Headless Horseman, that was a big deal for me last year. It's my favorite fictional character, literally, of all time, from anything. And then this year, they had to go and hit me with this figure. The gateway to horror for many people is this ghostly Christmas story, A Christmas Carol. And the first ghost that appears to Ebenezer Scrooge, arguably the most terrifying. Unless it's the Muppet Christmas Carol, then it's arguably the most hilarious. But Jacob Marley. So the Figura Obscura, Jacob Marley, just an absolutely soul-crushingly beautiful figure. Both from the deco, the fact that he starts to kind of like fade into a translucent plastic, starting at like the knees down to the point where like his boots are, perfectly clear. The real chains, the vest with all of the ledgers and lock boxes and safes and everything hanging off him, the 2 different heads. He's got the head that's, with the stern face and the ghostly eyes, and then he's got the untied head where his jaw is dropped and he's screaming, mankind was my business. Yeah, it's just an absolutely gorgeous piece. Again, fantastic box art and delivery on this. The thing that, to me, other than it being a terrifying ghost, is the terrifying fact that all of the other ghosts and Ebenezer Scrooge are pictured on the box art. So I'm terrified of the ghosts of Christmas Future, because I'm probably going to be on the hook for like five more figures from this book. So I'm I don't know, and one of them is likely going to be very large, right? The Ghost of Christmas Present is usually pretty big old guy, big old fella. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they continue to do with the figure obscura line. But Jacob Marley, he is my number 3.
We go from something that is like terrifying, from Eric's number 3, to something that is, I would say nicer, but still evil. To my number 2, and that is the Jazzwares AEW Danhausen, very nice, very evil Ringside exclusives, or Ringside Collectibles exclusive. The first Danhausen that made it to market from the line, down to the outstanding packaging on the box, where it's just like in a Manos Hands of Fate kind of cape opening sort of way with Danhausen. You get him in different gear, comes with the curse hands. And again, like another one of those, you could say like, oh, it's, a likeness of somebody in makeup, which is true. He does have a little red under the eyes, but as Danhausen will say, it's the only makeup is the red. So the rest of it is Danhausen's face. And it's still like spot on, just captures the essence of Danhausen perfectly. To the point where it's Danhausen in wrestling gear, where it's like, man, I wish I saw this more often. Not calling anybody out or anything, but like,
hey, we got to see him wrestle.
We got to see him wrestle at World's End. A very excellent battle royal. So yeah, it's just like it's as perfect with the cape and everything. Like, oh, it's a fantastic figure. Like, it's the best wrestling figure of the year, I think.
I try desperately not to double dip on characters, wrestlers where possible. Like, I try to wait and get like the one that I think is going to represent them for the longest period of time possible. I do that both for budgetary and space reasons. So when I saw for $40 I could get Danhausen and Hook, I went with that version and got the two of them that way. And I don't have any regrets. I love the Danhausen figure that I have, but I am tempted every time I go on Ringside to get get another one.
I mean, I've got 3 versions of Danhausen from AEW.
Yeah.
It's it's a great figure.
All right, so that takes us to my number 2. This character that's featured at number 2 here for me has had one hell of a year. One could make the argument that this character has had the best year of its existence in just about 70 years of existing. And this particular version of the character is something that I truthfully never thought we would really get in figure form. NECA did a great job, presenting this classic character for a while. Bondi and Tamashii Nations through the SH Monster Arts line. They do a fantastic job of going through this character's, history. And now friend of the pod, Kyle Wadiga from Super 7 is making versions of this character. And this particular version, like I said, is one that I didn't think we'd ever get. Takes us back to the early 90s and the Dark Horse Comics days of Art Adams designed Godzilla. So this San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, shouts to friend of the pod and member of the Toy Migos crew, Dario, for picking this up for me while in California at San Diego Comic-Con. I absolutely love this figure. I have not it has not been put away or out of instant reach since I got it back in July, end of July or early August. I forgot when it actually shipped over. But stunning figure. I love just the size of it, the feel of it, the deco. It's got that like seafoam green color to it. He's got a little tiny guy that's screaming for his life. His mouth is all bloody. You got two different Godzilla mouths. It's just, for me, if I was going to only get one Super 7 Godzilla figure ever, to go with my growing Godzilla collection, this would be it. This is it, to me. This is perfect. It represents the kind of aesthetic that Super 7 is kind of known for. It represents a part of the character that I don't think any of the other brands that produce figures for Godzilla will ever come near. They will never touch this version of the character. So, not only it being a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, but it being something truly unique from somebody that we have the utmost respect for as an artist and and as a friend of the pod. It's just to me it's borderline perfect. It was almost my number one for the year, and it was only slightly edged out by my number one. But yeah, that's my number 2 pick, is the Super 7 Ultimate San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Godzilla.
So my number 1. This is a very unlike me number 1, we'll say. This is another one of those ones that I didn't know existed until I saw it. I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. And couldn't be talked out of to purchase when I saw it. But it is one of those things where when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I kept looking at it and I'm like, this is really cool. Oh, this rules. I kind of want this. All right, I want it. All right, I'm getting it. Shout out to friend of the pod, Joe, for spurring me on and being like, dude, you want that. Like, don't not get it. And, don't leave it there. Get it. So, my number 1 from the film, and it's one we've talked about, and one we've talked about the villain from this film too.
Oh God, ad nauseum we've talked about this.
Yeah, from Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris. It is the SH Monster Arts Gamera 1999 Kyoto Decisive Battle version Gamera. What can I say? Like, it's, I know you liked a Gamera too, but this to me is like the Gamera I remember, because it's, all of these kind of movies came out in like high school, college, leading through that run, and it's just the Gamera I remember. So it's just really cool. It's like a cool, craggly, you can make them fly and all that stuff, but just the regular standing Gamera is my favorite, and the way I'm going to display it. Just when I saw it at that Tamashii Nations New York store opening, I was like, this is the best figure I've seen this year. And it still is.
Yeah, we had, quick shouts to the Justin and Dave and AJ and Mike over at Bondi Namco Toys and Collectibles America Inc. Shouts to them. They had this year some of the best things that we got to do, or I should say last year, 2023. Some of the best things, and I think I speak for both of us here, some of the best things that we got to do toy-wise, things that we were invited to, things that we got to see, revolved around the installations and experiences that Bondi had set up. Going back to the Grand Central Station 15th anniversary Tamashii Nations pop-up, which was amazing. The Tamashii Nations store in Times Square, that opening. Toy Fair, their multi-booth setup at Toy Fair and the things that we got to see there. New York, what they had set up at New York Comic-Con, and everything that we got to see at Comic-Con. The invite through them that they kind of partnered with Toho and the Japan Society, so we got to see 2 screenings at the Japan Society that were kind of loosely connected to Bondi and the relationship we have there. Getting to see an original screening of 1954 Godzilla, and then getting to see a press screening of Godzilla -1. I just wanted to take a second just to shout out our good friends at Bondi and Tamashii Nations who do a fantastic job, and they're lovely people, and their product is amazing, and yeah, we've enjoyed we've enjoyed quite a few SH Figure Arts and SH Monster Arts figures this year.
Yeah, I think at that opening, everyone's was going for the Dragon Ball Z figure, which
Kid Goku, which I have from that.
But I immediately ran and grabbed Gamera.
Gamera, and you also got Godzilla from that too, right? Didn't you get the midnight edition of Godzilla?
Yeah, from
Monsterverse Godzilla.
Yeah, Monsterverse Godzilla. I forget which movie he's from.
I think it's Godzilla.
King of the Monsters.
I think it's. I think you're right. I think it's King of the Monsters.
I think it's King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, that Gamera to me is borderline flawless. It's so good.
So that leaves it to me for my number 1, huh? All right.
It does.
So my number 1, and I'm gonna take this guy out here carefully. Oh god. All right. This was my number 1 figure for 11 months. I got this in January. This that I'm holding right here is the Spider-Man, the animated series, Walmart exclusive Marvel Legends. We actually gave 2 of these away. I pre-ordered a bunch because I wanted to be able to look at paint and pick the one that I liked best, and I got 3 that were fantastic, so I didn't have to return any of them. So we ended up giving 2 of them away. I love, love, love this figure. It is my favorite Spider-Man figure that has ever been made. It's perfect. I would change absolutely nothing about it. It's amazing. I said during the halfway episode, I went back and I listened to it, that it would be extremely challenging for anything to top that figure this year. And then the Marvel Legends team had to go and put out the Green Goblin. They had to go and they had to put out the No Way Home Green Goblin that is just remarkable. The glider, the stand, the deco, the detail, the execution, the fact that you can take the purple stuff off for the most part and basically make a Sam Raimi, a Spider-Man 1 Green Goblin. Arguably one of the best human likenesses they have ever done in Norman Osborn, in Willem Dafoe. You could take the unmasked head off and you can put it on a suited body, and he can claim that he's something of a scientist himself. It's as close to perfect as I think any Marvel Legends figure has ever been in the history of Marvel Legends figures. I just love it so much. And really you're getting 3 figures in one if you have an extra suited body lying around, which most Marvel Legends collectors probably have. It's so good. It's just so good, and I can't. I mean, I have a permanent display of MCU villains that is always up, so I'm so stoked that I'm gonna get to look at this figure in perpetuity, pretty much. So it's so good. It's so toyetic. It's just so much fun. It's the most fun I have had with any Marvel Legends figure this year, and there have been some absolute bangers. But the simplicity of why that Spider-Man works and is so good, that animated series Spider-Man, is the complete opposite with this figure. It isn't simplified. It is, they leaned in and they did it right, and it shows. So my number one is the Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home Green Goblin. That's the way it goes. And with that, that's our top 10.
That wraps it up, everybody.
Year's starting off strong already. Already got some new toys in. It's not even the first week of January isn't over yet, and I already got some new things that are sitting here that are awesome.
And some announced things to look forward to.
Yeah. It's there is a lot. There's a lot cooking, and this year's going to be. I have a feeling this year is going to be another really good one for collectors out there.
Yeah.
But so as we're sitting here talking, when this episode is live, it will be on our Instagram, which Dave has mentioned multiple times, at AIC_podcast. It'll be on YouTube. We'll have little promo videos popping up places, but we want to hear what your favorite toys were of the year. So head to those places, comment, and let us know what your favorites were. Really, really looking forward to 2024. Dave, do you have any parting words for our listeners as we now venture forward into the new year?
Shortest year-end wrap-up ever.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.